Hello and welcome to this video tutorial by Computergaga.com. In this tutorial we will look at how to send an Excel workbook via email using Excel VBA. So sending a Excel workbook as an attachment is such a useful feature of Excel. But if you're doing this kind of stuff regularly and you're typing the same kind of information, attaching the same files, this kind of stuff can get repetitive, and by using Excel VBA we can speed up or automate this process. So in this example I have this invoice and I want to, at the click of a button, be able to send this onto a specific email address. So I have some code already to do this. The purpose of this video is for me to talk you through this code. So I'm going to click on View and I'm going to click Macros, and I'm going to go and look at the code for this email workbook macro that I have created. And here we have it. Now I should mention at this point, before I talk us through it, that the code, this exact workbook and this code is available via a link in the description of this video. So please check out the description of this video, follow that link. You'll have the code there that you can copy, paste and tweak, but it'll also be a link to the file specifically for you to download and to test and tweak for your own needs. Now, this procedure, this macro, it uses a technique called CDO in order to send this via email. Some benefits of using that approach over some others that you may find online or be aware of is that you don't need to have Outlook for this to work. So I have tested it via my Gmail account and also via my Yahoo account, and it works a dream. Some other techniques you may come across rely on you using Outlook, being a Microsoft Office product. This one does not. Should work with any email account, just may require a little bit of adapting. Other advantages are that you won't get the same security messages that sometimes you get through Outlook techniques, and you should be able to attach any file, whether it be a PowerPoint file, a PDF, anything. In this example I'm demonstrating the Excel workbook. So the first thing this macro does really is it brings up a dialog box asking the user to select a directory, select a folder, in order to save this workbook to. So I have to save the workbook before I can add it as an attachment. That has to be done. So you have to save it somewhere. You can always delete the workbook after, so we could get a macro to do it. In this example I haven't. The idea was to save it and keep it in my directory as well. You may disagree with that, and as I say, this macro can be tweaked for your own specific needs. Once that's done, here we go. Here it's now saving it into that directory using two variables that have been set up. Here they are being declared, and here they are being used. File name just taking the name of the workbook, and they get saved. We then set up this CDO configuration, set up this process, and this is really where it starts to get going, and you're more likely going to, or you have to, really start adding in your own information. So the first element really, I mean you could ignore this stuff, this line is, or can be quite important. You may not necessarily need it. But that line there is required if you get a message saying something like the transport cannot connect to the server, something along those lines, then you may need to make sure that that line is included. And also you may want to consider changing this line. The line talking about the server port, the SMTP server port. You may need to change that to 25. I used 465 with my Gmail and my Yahoo account, so you'll probably be fine if they are what you're needing. Bear in mind you may want server port 25. Feel free to try changing that. Now we've also got these lines. We have the SMTP authenticate, and we also have the request for a username and password. Now, they are, once again, may not be necessary, depending on your example. They were necessary for my two examples. And I was getting a message or a couple of potential error messages. One telling me that the server rejected my response, and one telling me that there was a authentication required. If you see those kind of error messages, then you will want to make sure that you're using these lines and that your username and password are correct. Just double check that, double check and triple check. If you receive those messages, the server rejected your response or authentication required. Now, so good to do those. You may not necessarily need to. What you will need is you will need to put your SMTP server information in this line. So mine's blank at the moment. Inside these double inverted commas, you will need to use your SMTP server information. I used a couple of examples above, like smtp.gmail.com, smtp.mail.yahoo.co.uk, but whatever it may be for you, you will need that. Then we have a little bit here, just creating the message. So feel free to change this as you need. That doing exactly what it says really, creating new lines. Putting twice so I get a blank line. That's the body of the message. You will then need to put the recipient in here. So in this example, I literally just typed in the email address I want to send it to in there. You could grab this email address from maybe a cell on the worksheet or something like that in your example. So you just adapt this macro to your needs. But you will need something in there. You'll also want to put who it's from. Got an email address and the name to display in here. There we have the subject line. There's the message body being used, variable MSG body. And here we have the attachment of the file with the two variables of the path and the name. And it gets sent. So to recap, you will need to put your SMTP server information, possibly your username and password, depending on what email service you're using to send it, and you'll need to at least put a recipient. Some of the other stuff may be optional to change, and that should hopefully work absolutely fine. And you can get this code, or indeed the workbook, from a link in the description of this video. So I hope you find this video useful. A very quick walkthrough I know there. You will also find in the description of this video a link to my online Excel VBA course. So if any of you watching this are quite new to VBA, and maybe a lot of what I just said didn't really make sense, if you fall into that bracket, you may want to check out that course. It's 11 hours of tutorials, and you'll go from Excel VBA novice to a savvy Excel user. And all of this will be very clear and how to change it. Otherwise, feel free to get stuck in. If it worked well, please let me know. Give me a thumbs up on the video. Until then, please check out some of my other videos on this YouTube channel. And check us out at Computergaga.com.